So my name's Paul Williams. I was fortunate to play for Derby from 1989 to 1995. And now I've had coaching careers, and now I work as a senior coach developer for the Football Association.
Hi, I'm Ryan Nyambe, defender for Derby County.
So, I was born in Burton-on-Trent, 1971. I was brought up by my grandparents, which was, it's a complicated, but I ain't got enough time to go into that. But worked with grandparents. My grandfather was most prominent in my life. He taught me the values and taught me a lot of the things that I take into my life. Work harder than everybody else and make sure you do work hard, be resilient, because life's going to be a roller coaster. But God rest his soul, he's not with us now. But Edgar Williams, my grandfather, taught me. He got me into football. He was a Leeds fan, actually, and loved Brian Clough. So, am I allowed to say that? And he used to take me to football. The team I played for was St Mary's Football Club. And the local teams, under 10s, I remember playing for those. And then I signed for Burton Albion. I'm in the 15 year. Then came to Derby. I was coming to Derby on trial with Jerry Summers and Ken Gutcher. They were the youth teams at the time. And I got offered a scholarship with Derby at that time. But growing up in Burton was difficult. It was very difficult at times, because I lived in an area where there's not many people that look like me, it could be difficult, and it was a strength and as a weakness at times. But it was difficult. But like I said, I was more resilient to make sure I could become something and be somebody.
I was born in Namibia, obviously, in a little town called Katima Mulilo. It's right at the top of Namibia, if you know what Namibia looks like. And then obviously the city of Windhoek is just further down. So I grew up in the little town, and then spent a few years there with my mum, and she was doing nursing there. And then eventually she ended up getting a chance to go to Windhoek, and then ended up in the UK, where she obviously left me behind. Obviously she had to pursue her dreams, and obviously at the end of the day I followed her here. But I grew up there, and I was in between Katima and Windhoek. I was raised by a couple of different people. My mum's side, her sisters, two of her sisters, and my dad's side, his sister, obviously my auntie. And then eventually I moved over to Windhoek to do my school over there, and then I lived with my auntie from my dad's side, and then my cousins as well, which I'm still quite close with. And then obviously after a few years, ended up following my mum over when she settled down in the UK. And then at about 10 years old, I think, is when I eventually moved over. And at that time, obviously, I was quite young, and still, I don't know how you can say it. Just obviously, it was different moving from Namibia to UK. I remember the first time that I moved. I've probably said this before. It was the first time I actually seen snow, and then it was just a major change. And I happened to settle in quite well, to be fair, and quickly learn the ways, and it was just different.
Sometimes it worked in my favour, and sometimes it doesn't. No, it can obviously stand out being the colour I am, but like being around it, I think I was accepted by most people. Some days were difficult, and we can go back to those days where Roots would come on a Sunday night, and Monday mornings was always my worst day at school, because they'd call me Chicken George and Cunty Kinte and all those. But it was fine, because it made me more resilient to actually achieve things. But no, sometimes they're difficult. But growing up through there, I wouldn't swap it for anything, because it's actually made me the person I am today.
My football hero is Rio Ferdinand. At the time when I was growing up, United supporter. I enjoyed watching United, and the way Rio Ferdinand, as a player, obviously played and defended. Probably say he was one of the best centre-backs at the time in that period. So obviously, and say I worked my game around it, but it's just inspired me growing up to be that kind of defender growing up. And obviously, as you can see in today's game, I'm known for my defensive qualities. So I'll probably say he had an impact on that. And I think Rio Ferdinand is definitely my hero.
So the people that were really inspirational to me, especially when I was living in Burton, obviously my grandfather, who gave me the fundamentals, But what were really prominent to I could believe I could actually be a footballer was they used to call them 3 degrees. So Laurie Cunningham played for Real Madrid, a flair player, had everything, could have gone anywhere in his career, played for England. Then we had Brendan Batson, he was a fullback, he played right back, very solid, probably a bit more similar to how I played the game. And you could rely on him a week in, week out. And then there was Remy Moses, again, centre midfielder, box to box, could get around. It was like a light bulb moment that like I can actually achieve something here and be somebody. So that's why I started my journey in football. Yeah, so John Barnes, another inspiration for me, and probably incumbent of those times where there was a bit of racial tension, and it was a local derby against Everton. So I remember it vividly, and watching him on the pitch, actually having the abuse he got beforehand, and then able to stay calm in the moment, and typical John Barnes style, backheeled the banana off the pitch, and it was prominent. It rang good with me at the time because I didn't feel like that the game had that in it, and people, because I was new to football, and I didn't know that those things went on, but the way he reacted was inspirational for me, and also the player he was, John Barnes, playing for England, and again from a heritage of being Jamaican, and my grandfather was Jamaican. We had that instant touch, and like you say, you never meet your heroes, but I'm so glad I met my hero, John Barnes. A true gentleman he was, and like for me, I was up and coming and growing, because I obviously played at Derby when we were there, and Arthur Cox asked me to man mark Kenny Dalglish that I did terribly as a young lad. I think I fouled him more than passed the ball, but yeah, and I met him that day, and he took his time out for a lad that he would probably wouldn't have known my name, but he knew my name, and we had 10 minutes after the game, which again sticks with me now.
My biggest inspiration has been my mum. I think it's for me it's quite obvious. She's from the little town that I'm from. It's very difficult to get out and make something of yourself, and for her to just take a risk and a chance, to leave and then go to a different country where she knows nothing about, where she has to learn new things and find different ways and just make a new life, really. It's a big risk, and it's something that inspires me, to be fair, because like I said, it's difficult to get out of that little town and make something of yourself. And obviously I wouldn't be here in the UK, I wouldn't be playing football in the UK if it wasn't for her taking that opportunity. So, and also my mum is quite a resilient person. She's very persistent. If she wants to do something, she'll get it done. And yeah, she just inspires me, to be fair, every single day. And every single day that I do wake up, it's just, it's, I think to myself, there's not a chance or opportunity that I should waste, because that would let down my mum. And every single day that I wake up, I just push myself to be the best I can.
People that have really inspired me through my life and through my career, and I have to give a mention to Arthur Cox. He was a special man. My granddad, up until 16, had the father figure for me, but Arthur Cox was an amazing man in every case. Like, and I was called Arthur's son whenever the scholars were around, the scholars or the professionals, because I'd make a beeline to go and speak to him, and he would, outside the base ground, if it was a late night, he'd give me a lift home, because obviously he was travelling down the A38 where I was brought up. So he would, and for me, he instilled a lot of things, again, that my granddad had. In terms of inspiration, I think my children inspire me to be better. They keep me up with the time, so when I'm around the under 15s at England, I can use their terminology, I can talk to them. But like, in terms of a real inspiration throughout, I think I take bits from a lot of people. I want to be open enough to learn from my experiences that have happened. And again, I think I have enough emotional intelligence now to read a room and adapt to how. And I talked about adaptability earlier. I think that's been my biggest strength, of just learning from the experiences that I've had, and make sure that like I stick to my own values.
I still got a lot of family back at home, and they inspire me every single day to keep going. Like I said, I go back every year back home, and it's a little bit hard sometimes just to see. Obviously, I've got cousins and people like that at home, to see that they're not struggling, but they're finding it hard to make something of their lives. And for me, here in a different country, getting this opportunity, it's again, like I said, it's like about my mom. It's same thing with them. To be fair, it's I don't want to let anyone down, and I want to keep inspiring them to show them that it's not the end of the world, and you can make something of yourself. And I just love going back home, see my family, see my friends, my cousins. My dad's still there, and you know, they're a big part of what I do every day, and the reason why I go back home every year. You know, it's you know the saying, it's never forget where you come from, and that's something that I live down to, because you know, if I forgot how if I forget about my home, you know, there's nothing that's going to inspire me anymore. So yeah.
My experiences that I've had, whether they are racial or they've been good experiences, I think I can take and help every coach that I work with when I'm in my coach education work, and also when I'm coaching with under 15s. It's amazing to see the diversity within that group, and hopefully, like again, talked about togetherness, that you can have the strategies and the framework to get people to be together and not think about the other stuff that some people talk about in terms of colour. They're not the difference. As long as you're together and work to a common goal or common vision, then for me it's fine, and that's what I've taken.